Hey everyone, and welcome to the Audit Guidebook channel. So, let's talk about one of the biggest challenges an auditor faces, right? How in the world do you give an opinion on a company with millions of transactions without looking at every single one? It seems impossible. Well, that's what we're here to demystify. We're going to break down one of the most critical tools in any auditor's toolkit, audit sampling.
And just so you know, whether you're studying for your exams, just starting out in your audit career, or even if you're a seasoned pro just looking for a quick refresh, you are absolutely in the right place. This explainer is actually part of Module 2 of our Practical Guide to Audit, so when you're done here, definitely check out the rest of the series on the channel. It all fits together.
All right, so here's our game plan for today. First, we'll talk about the core challenge that makes sampling necessary. Then, we'll properly introduce what audit sampling is. After that, we'll look at the two main paths you can take to get a sample. We'll walk through the whole process step by step. And finally, we'll wrap up with the really important stuff, the risks and responsibilities. Let's get started.
Okay, first up, the auditor's core challenge. Before we dive into the how, let's really nail down the why. Why does this tool even exist?
Really think about it. Picture yourself auditing a huge company. We're not talking thousands of transactions, we're talking millions, maybe even billions. Checking every single invoice, every payment. It's not just a bad use of time, it's literally impossible. So the big question is, how can you confidently say the financial statements are fair when you've only seen a tiny little slice of the pie?
Well, the answer starts maybe not where you'd expect. It's not just about grabbing a few items randomly. No, the real starting point is looking at the company's own systems. We're talking about their internal controls. Think of it this way. If a company has a really strong, well-designed system for preventing and catching mistakes, you can have more confidence that widespread errors just aren't happening. So these controls are basically the company's 3 lines of defense against errors. You've got preventive controls. These are designed to stop mistakes from ever happening in the first place, like needing a manager's approval before a big payment goes out. Then you have detective controls, which are there to find errors after they've already happened, like a monthly reconciliation that flags a discrepancy. And finally, corrective controls kick in to fix any problems that are found. Now, here's the key. Audit sampling is one of our main ways to test if those first two, the preventive and detective controls, are actually doing their job.
All right, that brings us right to our main topic. Let's officially introduce audit sampling.
So what is it really? Put simply, audit sampling is the technique of looking at a small piece of something to understand the whole thing. Imagine you want to know if a huge pot of soup is salty enough. You don't drink the whole pot, right? You take 1 spoonful. That spoonful is your sample. The whole pot of soup is the population. In auditing, we test that 1 spoonful, that subset of transactions, to make a smart, informed conclusion about the entire pot.
And why do we do this? What's the goal? Well, it boils down to a few key things. We're obviously checking if the financial records are accurate. We're also testing if those internal controls we just talked about are working. And importantly, we're on the hunt for what we call material misstatements. Basically, errors big enough that they could actually change a decision someone makes based on those financials. And the beauty of it all? We're doing this to be efficient, to save a ton of time and resources without sacrificing the quality of the audit. It's all about working smarter, not just harder.
Okay, so we're sold on the idea of sampling. The next logical question is, how do you actually pick the items for your sample? Well, there are basically 2 main paths you can go down.
Think of it as the science versus the art of sampling. On one side, you have statistical sampling. This is the numbers-driven approach. It uses pure math and probability, like a random number generator, to pick items. The huge advantage here is that you can actually quantify your risk. You can say, I am 95% confident that the error rate is no more than 2%. It's very objective. On the other side, you have non-statistical sampling, which we often call judgmental sampling. This is all about using your professional experience and intuition. You're not picking randomly. You're deliberately choosing items you think are risky, like all transactions over $1 million, or anything that looks weird. It's more subjective, but can be super effective.
Now, no matter which of those 2 paths you take, statistical or non-statistical, the actual process you follow has a pretty clear structure. So let's walk through those 6 steps together. It really is a step-by-step recipe. Step 1, define the population. First, you have to know exactly what group you're testing. Is it all sales invoices for the year? You got to be specific. Step 2, determine the sampling unit. What does one item look like? Is it a single invoice line or the entire invoice? Step 3, determine sample size. This is the big one. How many do you need to look at? 40? 100? Then, step 4, select the sample. Now you actually pick the items. Step 5, perform audit procedures. This is where you do the actual testing. And finally, step 6, evaluate results and draw conclusions. You take what you found in your small sample and project it back to the whole population. See? A logical flow?
All right, we've covered the what and the how. But now we need to talk about something incredibly important, the risks and responsibilities that come with all of this.
Okay, if there's one term you take away from this, it's this one, sampling risk. This is the big one. It's the risk that your sample, just by pure random chance, doesn't actually reflect the whole population. Remember our soup pot? Sampling risk is the danger that you happen to grab the one spoonful that didn't have any vegetables in it, so you incorrectly conclude the whole soup is just broth. In an audit, this means you could pick 50 clean transactions, conclude everything's fine, and miss a massive fraud that was sitting in the items you didn't pick. It's a huge deal.
So to deal with that risk, an auditor has to be constantly thinking. They're weighing a few key things. First, sampling risk itself. Is my sample big enough? Is it truly representative? Then materiality. Are we focused on the stuff that actually matters to the bottom line? You also have to consider the nature of the population. Auditing petty cash is way different from auditing complex derivatives. The risk profile dictates your approach. And the thread that ties it all together? Documentation. You have to be able to answer the question, can I prove why I did what I did?
And I really want to double down on that last point. In the world of auditing, there's a saying, if it wasn't documented, it wasn't done. Your documentation is everything. It's the story of your audit. It shows exactly why you picked your sample size, how you chose the items, what you found, and the logic that led to your conclusion. Without it, your work is basically indefensible. It is the absolute backbone of a quality audit.
And really, this quote here just nails it. Audit sampling allows auditors to make reliable conclusions about large data sets, balancing efficiency with audit quality. That's the whole point, isn't it? It's this incredible tool that lets us tackle these giant pools of data and come away with a conclusion we can stand behind. It's all about finding that perfect balance between being efficient and being right.
So, to wrap things up, let's look to the future a little bit. I want to leave you with this question to chew on. We've spent all this time talking about sampling, which is all about not testing everything, but what happens in a world of big data, AI, and powerful analytics where we might soon be able to test 100% of transactions? What does that do to the idea of sampling? Does the auditor's judgment become more or less important? It's definitely something to think about. Hey, thank you so much for sticking with us through this deep dive into audit sampling. If this was helpful for you, do us a huge favor and hit that like button, and make sure you subscribe to the Audit Guidebook channel. We're putting out practical explainers like this all the time to help you nail these concepts. Thanks again, and we'll catch you in the next one.